Hello, all you wonderful Rise of Kingdoms players out there. This is Dragothien here. Today, we're going to be talking about one of the biggest decisions that you need to make in Rise of Kingdoms to figure out how to best play your best life, or really just understanding the game enough to know what your role is really the gist of what this video is going to be about. This guide should help you understand, based off of your ability to play the game actively, based off of your spending in the game, based off of your kingdom selection as well, big deal there, what you should be doing, what you should be focusing on, and just as importantly, what you should expect on the battlefield. Because at the end of the day, that's why we play this game, people. We love to fight. And if you're fighting with a different expectation than your account can provide, you might not have the best playing experience. So I want you guys to understand, at least in my opinion, and take it for what it is, right? I've been doing this a little while. Take it for what it is. My recommendations based off of certain criteria in the game, like I just listed before. And hopefully this is going to help you understand your role a little bit better, or what should be your role. You can do whatever you want. You live your best life. I'm not going to tell you how to play the game. I'm just going to recommend some things for you. And hopefully this will help you kind of understand where you should probably be in the fold, inside your kingdom, inside your alliance, just using these criteria. So first off, what are the different roles inside of this game? Well, there's a few to talk about and really speak on. I'm going to list 4 major ones. There's certainly more roles out there, but I think 4 major ones are what you really need to focus on. You're either going to be a rally leader, you're going to be a garrison leader, you're going to be an open field primary fighting player, or you're going to be an open field support. Okay, so those are the 4 that I want to really focus on. And there's a 5th kind of catch-all, which I'll talk about too, but that's just mainly based off of power and ability to fight more than your actual role in the game. So first off, let's talk about what type of kingdom is going to dictate these roles. Well, especially endgame, Season of Conquest, and forward, you're really going to want to understand these roles and understand where you fit in there. So rallies, for instance, rallies and garrisons specifically, you want to be a top tier heavy spending player who can max crystal tech inside of Heroic Anthem. You want to be the one that's got the best gear, the best, when I say gear, I mean equipment, the best commanders for the rally and or the garrison. You're going to want to have, again, top flight gear. You're going to want to have the ability to perform as many buffs on yourself as possible. That usually does require quite a bit of spending into the game, unless you're in a smaller kingdom, like a D kingdom, for instance, or even a C kingdom. You may be able to get away with not necessarily having max tech as a secondary rally or as a secondary garrison on a non-primary flag or a non-primary structure. You can get away with that stuff in the smaller kingdoms, but in the bigger kingdoms, anything B and above really, and certainly when you start getting into Imperium kingdoms and just top power kingdoms that have multiple heavy spending players in the game, you want to make sure that if you're a rallier or you're a garrison player, you not only have time to play the game and get all the latest and greatest, but also you're going to be putting some money into the game so that you can get the top tier crystal tech. You can get the top tier. Certainly your account technology needs to be completely maxed out. You need to be a T5 player. You need to have the best commanders in the game. Certainly right now, at least, when we're talking about rally positioning, William, Chandra, Zhang Yu. Let me go ahead and bring him up too. He's down here a bit because I haven't leveled him up yet. But Zhang Yu, primary to a William or a Chandra, is a good example of what you need to be having from a cav standpoint. If you're talking archers, you want to have, let's see here, Ramses. You want to have, let's see what else. You want to, there's some I don't even have. You want to have Nebu. You want to have Cyrus. You want to have Edward, believe it or not. Edward is also one that you may want to have. Edward and Nebuchadnezzar rallies are very strong right now as well. So those are big ones right there. And then from an infantry standpoint, Guan, with either Herald or Leo are all solid pairs. You could also go Alex Herald if you want to that way as well. But from a rallying perspective, those are the sets that you want to have when you're talking about being a primary rally role player. And the prerequisites, again, you're going to want to be a heavy spender. You're going to want to have maxed out crystal tech as early as possible in your kingdom. When you go into KVK, you're going to want to have max T5 tech, obviously. You're going to want to have as many of those commanders as possible, because that's what's going to be going up against the next role, which is Garrison players. So right now, the meta currently is Zenobia right here with a YSS, for instance, right here. Zenobia Theodora is also a very strong pairing. You can even throw Wu into the mix there, although she's probably a third tier when it comes to garrisoning in Season of Conquest. But the reason I'm making this video is so that you can build up to this, because Season of Conquest comes pretty quickly when you start playing this game. After day, at this point, like 280 to 300, you're in Season of Conquest. Enjoy, because that's basically what you're looking at. So this video is going to try and show you what you should be doing for those first 300 days if you're building up towards a particular role, and it can give you an edge or a head start on what you should be doing, and you're not necessarily wasting sculptures on commanders that you're really not going to use based on the role that you are going to be playing. Again, let's see, when we're talking about garrisons, YSS Theo is another prime example of a good solid garrison pair. Again, these are all legendary commanders, guys, and legendary commanders are not cheap to max. You need to win Mightiest Governor events. You need to win, or you need to heavily spin your Wheel of Fortunes to get these commanders. YSS is a wheel commander. You need to do multiple wheel spins, multiple sets of wheel spins, which takes months if you don't spend universal sculptures into YSS to max them like we did on yesterday's video. Same thing with Zenobia. She's a MGE commander, which means that you need to heavily invest, which again we just did on yesterday's video, to get first place multiple times, to not have to use universals. Most people don't have that capability, so again, you're going to be spending universals, which again are very costly in this game, or take a long time to rack up, which again, if you are that player where you can't invest in the Wheel of Fortune heavily, if you can't invest in MGE heavily to win those events, and you're in a kingdom where you have dozens of players that are putting up 100 million plus point scores, Rally and Garrison might not be for you. Even if you are a decent spender, you may want to go into this third category, which is going to be your open field fighting category. Okay, so if you don't necessarily have the ability to maximize Crystal Tech right away in Heroic Anthem or Strife of the Eight, or if you don't have necessarily T5 Tech all the way, or if you only have one or two troop types that have T5 Tech, this is a good one for you, where if you have decent commanders, meaning you're a mid spender, low spender that has been playing the game for a while, or a high spender even at this point. I mean, there's accounts that I've got, I'm a high spender or plus, right? And I can't be a rally or a garrison commander or role yet because I don't have the commanders maxed out to do that yet. So a lot of my commanders that I do have maxed are commanders that are really good in the open field. William, even though that's a solid rallying commander, can also be used heavily on the open field. One of the best open field cav commanders in the game. Guan, same thing. Great open field commander, but also can be used in rallies. You've got, let's see, Alex, a great open field commander, and again, can be used in rallies. You've got Genghis, you've got Saladin, you've got YSG. Oh my goodness, YSG, one of the best open field commanders in the game. You've got Tamiris, a great open field commander to debuff skill damage. You've got Ramses, one of the best rally and open field commanders in the game. So, I mean, you have all these choices, and if you've got the commanders for it, you should be focusing on open field fighting, getting positive trades on the open field, reducing your healing cost as much as possible, but also understanding that because you don't have the best gear and the best crystal tech and the best top flight commanders, you're not necessarily going to be helping your kingdom out by being a primary rally or garrison leader, because you're going to be killing more of your kingdom's troops with inferior technology to somebody else who has been pumping into all the crystal bundles every day and who has top flight gear, who's been buying the geared up bundle every day and doing all of the equipment events, the Knight's Treasure Egg event, the archaeological dig event, all the equipment events, right? There's dozens of them at this point now because equipment is such a big deal in this game. If you don't have all that stuff top tier, top flight, procced gear, all that good stuff, heroic anthem accessories are a huge deal here. You should be focusing on open field fighting because you have good commanders, you have decent equipment like procced epic gear, a couple accessories here and there, Delanes and silent trials, and maybe a pendant in there, something like that. You're a great open field fighter that can help push the battle on the open field. And you need as many, as a kingdom, you need as many of those types of players as possible. Okay. Now let's shift to the fourth role that I was wanting to discuss on this video. And that's really going to be about open field support. So if you're an open field support role, you're more than likely a mid to low spender that has not been playing the game for 2.5 years. So actively, like really actively. And in this case, you probably have maybe 2, 3, maybe 4 decent open field armies. Your tech is good, but you don't have the ability to invest heavily in crystal tech for Heroic Anthem or Strife of the Eight. You don't have the best gear. It's okay. And again, you don't have the latest, best commanders. You're still operating with your Charleses, your Richards, your Alex, your Genghis, Saladin, which good commanders, don't get me wrong, but they're not up to par with the Zhang Yus, the Chandras, the Nebuchadnezzars, the Cyruses, the Ramses. You know, those are the commanders that you're going to want to have more for that third role, where you're open field primary fighting. Your job is to kill everything on the field and take as little damage as possible from a attrition standpoint. You want to maximize your resources. For the fourth role here, when you're open field support, you're going to be doing a couple things. You're going to be buffing those players that are on the open field to be doing maximum damage. So you want to have commanders like, you know, I know Mulan just came out and she's not really maxed by many people, but Mulan's a great commander to have in the open field. For support, this first skill here is amazing. You want to have this on the open field as much as possible, buffing all of your other armies as well as any troops that are around you. Certainly Joan is another great example of something you want to have on the open field, buffing and generating rage for your alliance mates. With this first skill here, generating 50 rage a second for 3 seconds, for 4 seconds actually when maxed, and then certainly the increased health for infantry, increased defense for cav, and increased attack for archer units. That's all good stuff for open field fighters. You also want to have commanders like Trajan. You know, you don't necessarily have to max them at this point, but if you understand your role of buffing in the open field, you're not using Trajan for your own benefit, which if you max Trajan, that's what you're doing alongside of the buffing. But if you just need him for the buff, the first skill getting to 5 is perfectly fine. You get 40 rage restoration per second for 3 seconds. You do a little bit of damage, and you do a skill damage bonus for 5 armies around you as well. So, or 4 armies around you, I should say, because you are included in that one. So you will be doing help. You'll be giving help to your alliance mates by being on the field, obviously taking up space, but also buffing everything around you. Very, very strong. Even a Cleopatra, I hate to say it, but Cleopatra can also be a benefit here. When you're talking about buffing in the open field, you have a defense bonus of 15%. It's only for 2 seconds, so don't look too much into the Cleopatra thing, but that is something that you could do. Other buffing type commanders that are easily attainable or don't need to be required. Ethelfled, a huge boost. You're debuffing your target by 30% attack, defense, health. That's huge for 2 seconds. You also have the ability to slow targets here with march speed reduction of 50% on cav and 30% on other troops. Constantine is a great one too. Constantine primary, when you're talking about attack reduction, AoE for 40 seconds, that's big. Or for 40 seconds, for 40% for 5 seconds, that's really big. That's really good. And a great support army to have on the open field. In fact, Constantine Joan, Constantine Mulan, all great commander pairs there. Richard, obviously, as well, with his capability to keep alive, which is something you should have. And then again, you have a damage reduction AoE of 30%. That's nothing to sneeze at. It's definitely nothing to look over and think it's not worthwhile, because it is, especially as an open field support player. So those are the 4 roles that I think you should understand. Again, Rally and Garrison, you really need to be, especially in a non-C or D kingdom. And if you don't know what C or D kingdoms are, or A or B kingdoms are, put a comment in the messages below, or the comment section below. I'll type it back to you on what that really means. But generally, it's just about your size and strength of kingdom. If you're in a top tier, top flight, heavy spending, heavy activity, heavy Season of Conquest, like really late game kingdoms, like 331 and even 93, and you got 556 and 114, and I mean there's 50, 60, 70, 80 kingdoms that are like that you can look at and be in that category. You don't want to be a rally or garrison commander primary role if you're not just absolutely putting everything you've got into the game when it comes to your time, when it comes to enough money to get max tech for crystal tech, max gear with procs on everything. Like your gear, like even my gear, like I spend heavily into the game, guys, and my gear is okay. Like this is good. This is really good. I would say this is on par with being on that rally garrison tier, although barely. You know, I mean, there's players out there that have full health and defense procced legendary gears, full procced legendary accessories from Heroic Anthem. I mean, that's all stuff that is out there. I mean, my Guan maybe is a little bit better off here, but this is more of an open field setup with the March Speed and the War Drums. You want Heroic Anthem accessories here to be considered maybe a rallier with this Guan Yu. The gear is very solid, but missing some procs on my Eternal Empire stuff here, and I need to get another piece to unlock the troop defense here of 3% as well. That's something I'm missing. I need to get it on the gloves, or I need to get it on the boots would be the best thing, honestly, or even get the shield. So this is what I'm talking about. I mean, this is a 140 plus mil account now after training. And I spend heavily into this game, guys. I mean, thousands and thousands and thousands a month, and I'm still borderline. I mean, to me, I'm borderline rally garrison, top tier, top flight, in my opinion, because there's people in my kingdom that are better. They've got better gear. They've got better commanders when it comes to the meta, when it comes to rallying. We went over earlier. You want your Nebuchadnezzars, you want your Ramses, you want your your XYs, you want your Chandras, you want your Williams. Infantry rallies aren't necessarily the meta right now, with what is the garrison meta being Zenobia YSS, Zenobia Theo, etc. So you really want to have heavy infantry, or heavy archer, heavy cav focus with top flight gear, and those commanders maxed out with Heroic Anthem accessories on those rally or garrison pairs. So just know your role. I mean, if you don't know your role in this game, your experience in this game is going to be, in my opinion, less than what it could be. If you just go into the game and play the game the way you want, understanding your limitations or your non-limitations, I think you're going to have a better job, a better time in this game as we, go through all these different phases of the game, going from season 1 all the way to Season of Conquest. Season 1 through season 3, it's a completely different story, obviously, because you don't have the majority of the commanders that I just spoke about unlocked. Equipment really comes into play there. Equipment, if you can heavily invest into equipment using the season 1, 2, and 3 commanders available to you at that point, then you can really start looking at being, again, an Attila, a Takeda rallier, or if you have a season 3 KBK that has a kingdom that's over 300 days. If not, you're going to be stuck with Edward Tamiris, Edward YSG. You're going to have Alex Charles. You're going to have you can even do like a Genghis Saladin or something like that, but that's even a little lackluster in season 3. So I mean, but you get my point. You really want to focus on equipment at that point to really be considered a rally or a garrison commander in seasons 1 through 3, regardless of your kingdom size. Kingdom sizes of A, B, and Imperium, right? Obviously, all Imperiums are A kingdoms for the most part. You really need to understand your role, because if you don't, you will likely want to move somewhere else because you're wanting to be a rallier, but you're 35 million power and you don't have max T5 war tech, and you don't have the ability to go past the middle of the crystal tech because you don't want to spend, and that's perfectly fine. That's your ability to play the game. That's how you do it. But you can't be that player and expect to be a main rally leader or a main garrison commander leader in a big kingdom, because you're gonna kill everybody else's troops and nobody's gonna want to join you. If I see a rallier at 35 mil in Heroic Anthem and 916 or 307, I'm just gonna ignore you, because you're not gonna have a positive result. It's literally like you're just lighting your troops on fire. You might as well just do that. So again, if you're in that role, and maybe some specific examples to kind of end the video out, I think would be good. Rally and Garrison, you should know. You should know if you're those people. Generally, you're going to be a higher power player. You don't necessarily have to be a 100 million power player to be those players, but it's all about the commanders. It's all about the equipments, and what your ability is to spend into getting Crystal Tech as early as possible. Apologize for that noise. Rally and Garrison is kind of self-explanatory. Open field is really where you need to understand where you fit in. So if you're a 30 million player and you don't have max tech, and you could have the best commanders in the game, it wouldn't matter. If your tech is not maxed, you are a open field support and filling player, meaning you're that fourth category that I talked about, and your job is to put troops inside of rallies and inside of flags when you're garrisoning a structure. You're not the garrison lead. You're the person that puts the troops inside of that flag to help keep that flag up and help support the garrison lead that is in there. Same thing with the rally. You're the person putting troops inside of the rallies so that you can keep that rally going and hopefully win that fight against the structure that your rally leader is attacking. That's your role. Now, if you're at, I'd say 55, 60 million, and again, that means you likely have maximum T5 war tech. And when I say what T5 war tech is, let me see if I can find my academy really quick. Here we go, back here, all the way in the back. You've got this technology, military technology, maxed out all the way. You've got your T5 troops unlocked. Obviously, siege is not a big deal, but you are in that range of really kind of being in the understood idea of being an open field fighter. You've got the best tech that you can get for your account personally before you start talking about Crystal Tech. You've got decent commanders, and again, even these could even be, Charles YSG. These could be Guan Alex. These can be, you can have some epics in there if you want to. You can do a Richard Sun Tzu. You can do a Minna Osman. You can do, things like that are fine, but when you start to be the open field fighter, you want to really be bringing the best to the open field, and that's your Saladin Williams, that's your XY Williams, that's your Ramses YSGs, that's your Guan Alex's, Guan Heralds, Charles Heralds. That's your just your better commanders that are open field based, which we've got tons of videos on the channel here if you want to go check out what those combinations are. I will also be doing videos throughout the week following this role guide up with which commanders you should focus on in those particular roles. So I'm hoping that's going to help you guys, and I'm hoping this video helped you, because again, I think that most people kind of understand this, but maybe not to the depth, in-depth breakdown that maybe I've done for you today. I'm hoping that I've given you the information you need to kind of understand, because if you go into a kingdom like 114 or a kingdom like 401 or whatever, right? These big kingdoms that are just absolutely massive with huge players that just wreck everything and instantly max their tech as quickly as possible. And you're a 40 million player and you're like, I'm going to be a rally leader. They're probably going to rally you. Okay. They're probably, if you're taking up a rally against a structure and you're like, no, I want to rally this. This is my time to shine, right? No, you're going to get swarmed. You're going to get booted from your alliance, and you're probably going to get swarmed by those big players because they don't want you killing everybody else's troops, but also you need to learn your role. You need to know your role, because in the kingdom that you're in, that's not your role. You are an open field fighter, or an open field, in this case, a 40 million player. You're an open field support player, filling rallies, filling garrisons, and you can have 1 or 2 marches out there that do damage. Like, you can do that, especially if you have like 1 T5 tech unlocked. Like, say you've unlocked T5 Cav, okay, on your city's technology, right, in the academy. You can have a Saladin William 5551 out there and do fine. You can have again, guess YSG, although you'll get absolutely melted, but you can do some damage at least. You just need to know how to play. But your main role is rally support, being filling the rallies, filling the garrisons, and open field support, meaning buffs, debuffs, supporting those armies with T4 troops, where you're not going to take a heavy resource burden by having to heal T5. You shouldn't be fighting with T5 in this role, that kind of thing. So I think that's a good summarization of what I wanted in this video to be about. I know I was basically ranting for 25 minutes. I hope that's been helpful for you guys. I hope that you understand your role now that we have gone over the main ones. Of course, there's other hybrid roles. There's other different things. There's non-fighting roles like leadership and diplomacy and, organizing, field general stuff. And there's tons of other stuff. But for most people, you will fit into one of these 4 categories as a Rise of Kingdoms player. And I think that this will help you understand which one you should fit into, or at least the one that you want to fit into. And you can build your account towards that role as you go along. And some people it will take longer. Some people it won't take as long because they heavily spend into the game. You have to kind of understand where you're at to be into that role. So I hope this has been helpful. I will see you guys next time. Cheers. Have a good one and take care.